In a lot of ways, this full moon in Capricorn looks really nice. We have several planets in dignity, and even the more challenging things look like we can overcome them, so I kind of like this one. So if you're excited to dive into what we can expect from this full moon in Capricorn, do make sure you like, subscribe, and click that notification bell so that you are always up to date with what the stars have in store for you. Firstly, we're going to dive into the overall meaning, kind of the significations of this full moon in Capricorn. Then we'll dive into how it's looking for some more mundane charts with the US chart itself and some financial charts as well. So if you have not already seen your individual rising sign forecast for this June or the collective June forecast, depending on when those are out, you can check back on my channel to see how the month is going to play out overall. And before we get started, I do want to share that there's a cool place that you can stack sats safely and buy Bitcoin dollar cost averaging on a recurring basis. That is Swan Bitcoin. I have a link below, not sponsored, but I like to stack sats and dollar cost average in regularly to digital gold basically, and I do that through Swan. So if you want a trusted source that I recommend, check that out below. Oh, you get 10 free dollars of Bitcoin when you do that. So this is on June 24th at 2:38 p.m. Eastern time. The full moon in Capricorn with the sun at 3 degrees of Cancer and the moon at 3 degrees of Capricorn. I actually really like this full moon. All things considered, I mean, even with the moon in its exile in Capricorn, meaning that it's the sign opposite to the sign that it's at home in, it's fairly nice. Full moons are culminations, they're completions, they are high points, and full moons in Capricorn are not the most cheery. They are, you know, the moon is the emotional trend of the morale, the collective spirit, the people, and Capricorn's serious. It's dry. It does have a good sense of humor though. My Capricorn rising is often misunderstood, so Capricorn has a slick sense of humor in my opinion. But the sun is in Cancer, and with the sun representing power and authority and leadership, I really like that the sun is receiving a superior trine from Jupiter in Pisces. Jupiter is retrograde, but it is still good old Jupiter, abundance, growth, planet of optimism, in its home sign, which is really lovely. Jupiter is strong in its own sign, and with it sextiling the moon in Capricorn pretty close by degree as well, it's actually pretty nice. It's also in a superior trine to Venus in Cancer, which is not as tight as the other trine, but it's interesting because Venus is also tightly opposite Pluto, and Venus opposite Pluto is obsessive back and forth love affair. It is the paranoia of value where it's extremely intense for fear of letting go and having it slip away. So be careful about like a really intense confession for love for someone that you might not be obsessed with in a day or two later. Be careful as well with like the metaphor I like to use is like fighting, makeup sex, throwing plates at each other kind of thing. Jupiter though, like with it trying to this, is helping it out. And Mercury is also at home in Gemini, which is really nice. It's conjunct the North Node, which is definitely an amplifier up, and I actually happen to have Lilith pulled up here. I don't usually work with Dark Moon Lilith because I just don't work with that topic or that more like personal side of astrology on a regular basis, but Lilith is exactly at 10 degrees, and the North Node is at 10 degrees as well, with Mercury nearby at 16 degrees. So with Lilith often being an energy of the wild feminine or the untamed, coming out having natural instincts no matter what society says, I think like we could have a powerful feminine figure in multiple contexts, breaking silence, coming out and saying something powerful, or just that energy really coming out of like, I'm a strong, independent woman kind of thing. Mars is also in Leo, and it's opposite Saturn and square Uranus, and this fixed T-square that is definitive of the year, basically, this fixed sign battle. It's not that nice to see this. Mars opposite Saturn is Mars pressing the gas and Saturn pressing the brakes at the same time. Mars in Leo also likes to perform, and Saturn in Aquarius is like, I don't give a shit about your performance. Let's make sure that everyone is like well hydrated, basically. It's like getting nowhere, but exerting a lot of energy at the same time, and Uranus in that T-square is adding volatility and electricity and frustration. So with so many oppositions, Sun opposite Moon, which is a full moon, Venus opposite Pluto, Mars opposite Saturn, it definitely feels like this back and forth energy of banter and bouncing off of a partner. Be careful about fighting and then making up and then having this passive aggressive undertone. Just be careful about putting your heart or yourself on the line in a kind of duel that doesn't get anywhere and ends up not solving anything in the long run. However, with Jupiter and Mercury and Saturn really strong in their home signs, I do like the dignity in this full moon because dignified planets can manifest most constructively, aka strong. So even with the difficult conversations, I think that there's strength to resolve things and get to a higher level of understanding and conversation. So if you already know the axis of where this is showing up in your life, Cancer Capricorn axis of your chart, do let me know down below. I would love to hear how you think that this might be showing up for you. In the United States' chart, Venus is exact by degree on the United States' lot of fortune in the 8th house of the market. So the lot of fortune is a calculation that when activated usually brings good fortune, and it's in the 8th house of the market. So looks good for market health overall, and the sun is exactly right on the United States' natal Venus in Cancer by degree. So I would guess that some measures are being taken to help the economy. I am filming this in early April, so I would be, maybe looking for some fiscal measures. Yeah, the Mercury is near the United States' natal Mars in the 7th, and that Mars in the 7th when activated usually indicates a lot of party disagreement because the 7th house is division and like known opponents. So I think the opposition of whatever this measure is doing is speaking out. Mars is 2 degrees away from the North Node in the 9th, and the 9th is often powerful authorities of foreign countries. So it does look a bit worrisome for foreign politics because Mars on the North Node could be aggression towards a foreign actor, and Saturn near the South Node can mean not being aware enough of the at-home measures that need to be taken and instead taking place elsewhere, but it does look more favorable for the market health. In the New York Stock Exchange's chart, Venus is also within 1 degree of the lot of fortune in this chart. It is untimed, it is a noon chart, so I can't give it too much confirmation for just a noon chart, but in case the moon is far away, yeah, can't give that 100%, but it's still notable that the Sun and Jupiter are sextiling the natal Venus in Taurus in this chart. Venus is very close to squaring its natal Jupiter. Mars is separating 3 degrees away from squaring its natal Venus, so not super intense, but it's more favorable than not because Mars squaring its natal Venus is not favorable, but the rest of these aspects are more favorable. So it does look like maybe not directly, but there is an impact of health on the market. For Bitcoin, Jupiter will soon recross Bitcoin's Venus in Pisces, and the moon is close to Pluto in this chart, which could indicate breakdown or just volatility. Venus is within 2 degrees of opposing the Bitcoin Jupiter, and it's not exact by degree, so if anything, I would expect volatility to this day. It's mixed and not clearly one way or another, but Mars close to the Bitcoin South Node just look a bit more unfavorable, so maybe volatility and a correction on this day. For ETH, Mars would have just crossed ETH's Sun. It's still close within 1 degree, so it is difficult. It looks like a correction recently happened, but similarly, there's not really any exact aspects for ETH. The moon is close to trining ETH's Venus, Jupiter is close to opposing ETH's Venus, slightly more unfavorable, but not terrible at all by any means, so if anything, more volatile, but kind of sideways. So if you enjoyed this and you would like to check out Swan Bitcoin down below to stack sats, you can do that, or any of my memberships or my Crypto Charted newsletter, would love to have you join those down below, all the info. Otherwise, make sure that you like, subscribe, and let me know down below how you're feeling, how you're preparing, and your thoughts around this full moon. I will see you in the next one.
Yeah. Yeah. You must be blinded by the lights. We came to shine here. Watch it look daytime in the night.